happy 5th Naturally Latinos Conference. I'm so excited to be here in person and see everybody's beautiful faces. So one of the really cool things about this project and about this conference and the theme for this year, Perteneciendo, is just seeing how people like pull colleagues and family members to these projects, to these conversations, and to this event. So when I saw Maria, she was like, "Oh yeah, I brought my prima," and Leo was like, "Oh yeah, I brought my son." And Gabi is always with Ben. And when they asked me to be part of the photo shoot, I was like, "Well, let me bring my whole family." So I love that this is a space where we all feel like we can do that. And that this is not any different than the work that we do at home. So it's really beautiful to see how we're all making sure that our communities and our families feel like they belong in spaces like these. So also just a quick plug, there are some coloring pages by the registration table. If you feel like coloring, Joe's table has some coloring pages, so feel free to color while we're having this conversation. And another plug for the interpreters. We do have interpretation in Spanish and English, so shout out to the interpreters for doing this. And just as a reminder, interpretation is not something that they do alone. It's very much a community thing. So if anybody in the audience notices that we're speaking a little too fast, remind us. You can remind us visually by going like this to slow down. So please help. There, I see you. Thank you. Yes, practice it. Feel cute doing it. And then just one last thing. We're in person. I don't know about the other panelists, but I'm definitely super nervous, to see all of your beautiful faces. So if you guys notice that we're looking at you, feel free to make like a juicy face just so that, we're not nervous anymore. So yeah, just a couple of things. And then for introductions, I would love to talk about you guys, but, I feel like the introductions come best when, like the person is introducing themselves. So, okay. Yeah, you saw me making eye contact.
I was volunteering to start.
Yeah, so we'll start with Maria, we'll go to Leo, and then to Gabi at the end.
That's cool. Good morning, buenos dias. I'm María Elena Montero. I was born and raised in Tacoma Park, Maryland, Cuban mother and Dominican father, who taught me all the names of the birds, at least in our backyard, in Spanish, because he couldn't speak English, right? He little did he know that he was sparking a lifelong love of birds, a deep curiosity about why they were named that. I learned, of course, learning now that I think some of those names he made up himself, but that's okay. I still call them what he called them. And I'm really blessed. I feel blessed to share that love of birds, of the outdoors, with everyone. Especially being who I am, when I'm outside and sparking interest, even questions, I don't mind. I feel like my presence, I told someone, is an act of resistance sometimes, just being present, because I'm a rare bird sometimes, and that's okay. I don't want to be a rare bird anymore, and the only way that's going to happen is if I continue being outside, going outside, and inviting by my presence other people to be outside with me. So thank you for inviting me to be here. I'm happy to be here.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, yep. Good. Hi, I'm Leo. I do a lot of things. I'm an artist, a writer, an environmentalist, and my main focus is food justice, language access, and making those connections between the issues that we as Latinx folks, as immigrants, as indigenous people actively illegalized on native lands, making those connections, and also just kind of bringing in my people to the fold. My experience with starting to get into environmentalism has been after like a long time of doing movement work and being so burned out that I kind of quit a little bit, and then I hooked up with Defensores de la Cuenca, Clase Beta, and thanks to them, I was able to not only deepen my understanding of how all of these issues connect, but also be in a space of joy and healing for me and my kid. As Brenda mentioned, my kid is over there taking pictures. And they are also in Defensores de la Cuenca. So it's a really exciting time in our lives. And meeting Gabby and working together, you know, to like, for them to create these beautiful images with us was just an honor. And I'll talk more about why.
Hi, can you hear me? No? Okay, perfect. There I am. Okay, good. So I have to be very close. Hi, my name is Gabby, and I think I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, and then I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the story of this project. I don't know if we can have the PowerPoint for this panel up. Just click. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Yes, that is me. Hi. So a little bit about me before I get started. I'm from El Salvador, and I came to the United States when I was 19 years old. I studied fine arts and graphic design at South Texas College, and that school is in McAllen, Texas. And for those of you that don't know, that school is a border school with Mexico. So this school is a first step into higher education for a lot of immigrants. Although I started my career as a graphic designer, in recent years, I've moved into photography, video editing, and motion graphics as well. And I have done some graphic design, video producing, and some translation work for Nature Forward for a couple of years now. Since August, I have a staff member position with Conservation Nation as an educational multimedia producer. And for those of you that don't know about Conservation Nation is an organization that is amplifying and supporting underrepresented groups in the field of wildlife conservation, which is really, really cool. To talk about the Perteneciendo Photo project now, we need to, of course, go back a couple of years for Belonging One, which was a really great project. So the first edition of the project was together with Taking Nature Black Conference. And Caroline Brewer, who was the former chair of Taking Nature Black, had the idea to take portraits of African-American environmentalists and nature lovers in local nature locations. And we wanted to use this imagery to counteract the narrative that it's only white people who feel connected to nature or who enjoy nature. But we also wanted to showcase the beautiful forested areas that we have around here. So with funding from the U.S. Forest Service, thank you so much, Beatra, we got to work in July 2021. So the photographers were, like some of you know, Benjamin Israel. Who is also my husband. It was also Myron Fields and Charisse May, which are incredible photographers. And if you want to see the photos, you can find them at the natureforward.com and you'll find the book. Caroline was the creative director of this project and also edited all of the essays that we got from everyone. So you should read that book. It's incredible. I designed and illustrated that book, and I acted as an art director and the second camera for Ben's shoots. And the book, of course, was a big success, and that made us very happy. We heard from many people who told us that they enjoyed the book and that it was very meaningful for them. And also very important to us is how they felt about being in this project, and they were all very happy about the experience that they had. So we can talk about the current book that we're making called Perteneciendo Nuestras Raíces, Nuestra, Tierra. And Again, funded by the U.S. Forest Service. Thank you so much, Viatra. Can we give her a round of applause for helping us do this project? We are creating a book that shows our Latine community belongs in nature, that we're connected and we have a deep connection to it. This time around, I am the co-lead photographer along with Ben Israel, and we will bring one or two more photographers. And once again, I will be designing and illustrating this book. We had 6 photo shoots this fall, and you can see some of the photos. We have them in these 2 corners. And we have a goal with the other photographers to have 15 more people by this spring. And again, we are featuring mostly environmentalists and advocates in some of their favorite spaces, nature spaces. Let me see. Not yet, sorry. While Taking Nature Black Belonging was a true success, we wanted to expand the idea in a few ways this time around, and now it's time for the photos. We wanted to show you that we wanted to be very accurate about the ways that our people, our Latina community experience nature, and that is very often in groups, in family, in community. So Brenda had a picnic in Rock Creek Park with friends and family. We had delicious elotes, and we photographed that picnic throughout the evening and into the dark. It was getting late, guys. We actually closed the park. And speaking of picnics, Leonina also picnic with her sons, Lalo and Logan, at Kennyworth Aquatic Gardens, and the family hiked around the park too. So one thing that I really found very important was to bring in indigenous clothing to these photo shoots, and I wanted to use them as a visual support for the photos, but also because I feel like in some sort we feel connected to those clothing. It's where we come from. So, and at the same time, they're beautiful. They this is Leonina, sorry. I forgot about these beautiful pictures. Oh, we also saw that rare beer. It's a bitter in the
A bitter.
Yeah. It was really, really nice to see. Everybody was very excited. Okay, so really beautiful. So at the same time, we wanted to bring this indigenous clothing because it brings a color, it brings pattern into the photographs. And I'm always searching a way to heighten the photos and how to make them beautiful and have an impact to the viewer. So for example, we have Joe wearing his gorgeous poncho, if I'm not wrong, from Guatemala, right? And this is his photo shoot at Quiet Water Parks in Annapolis, Maryland. The idea of community also overlaps with the next idea that we had to show activities and actions and work, whether it be leisure or work. So this is adding like a photojournalistic look to the book, and it's kind of to supplement the more stylized portrait work that we had for Belonging 1. So we have here Maria Elena at Lake Artemisia. She's birding, and that's such a beautiful place. And we also have Abel from Defensores de la Cuenca, clearing invasives from Driscoll Park. If I'm not wrong, he's doing this with the Defensores Green Job Corps of Youth. Is that correct? Yes. We have our teens, Dunia, Jesmer, and Edgar. They're teenagers who live in the Long Branch area of Silver Spring and are graduates from Nature Forward's Don't Pollute program. Oh, that's great. So, looking back at Belonging 1, we felt that we didn't have the page count to really do justice to the beautiful places that we were seeing in the book. So in this book, we plan to have more pages per shoot. so that we can really communicate to you, the viewer, how beautiful and amazing these places are. So like Lake Artemisia here, Elena's Maria's suggestion, it's such a popular and loved and alive place, and especially it's so beautiful during the fall. The foliage is just, it can take your breath away. And you can find these jewels. Ben usually goes back to the parks, and he likes to get a lot of shots of how the park is. So that he includes that after the photo shoot is done. We also have quiet water parks in Annapolis. It's such a beautiful shoreline and a unique park. And if you've never been to Quiet Water Park, we want Joe's pages to encourage you to visit it. And I'm just going to conclude with how we work technically. And that's, I'm going to be talking about scouting and lighting a lot. So aside from pre-interviewing our subjects and talk about what they do and how they enjoy nature, if you have to ask us the area where we, it's very important for us to allocate time is location scouting. We spend a lot of time in advance to find the particular spots in the parks where they're gonna look best within our photos. And I'm sorry, I need a little bit of water. Ideally, we scout before the shoot day, because time has a way to slip into our fingers, and we need the time to do it slowly and to be decisive. You have endless variety of at these locations, so you want to pick your spots and say, this is setup 1, setup 2, setup 3, and things might change along the way, but usually, you have to have a firm plan. And as anyone who has been with us in a shoot, if Ben and I will look a little bit worried, is because we're thinking about lighting. So here I am, worried about lighting. Is it too dark now? And very worried. It's on our minds. Either there's too much sun, sunny days, and a straight on midday sun is our enemy, our first enemy, or too little light because we're running out of it. And we have good lighting. Please take the shot. You got it. Great. And we're back to worried. So even though Ben worries a lot, you should not, because there's still time for you to sign up to be part of this project. So at the end of the panel, I'll tell you more on how you can do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gabi, for that beautiful presentation. Also, I didn't get to see the other pictures that were taken, so that was incredible. You guys look so good. So one of as you saw, I decided to do a carne asada, and there was a picnic. And the reason why I wanted to do that was because I once saw a presentation by Felipe from Corazon Latino, who talked a little bit about the way that our communities enjoy nature. And I remember that he had a carne asada shot, and like I've been telling people, whenever I get to do something like this, it's gonna be a carne asada shot, because I cannot tell you how many times we have eaten carne asada at Rock Break Park right when we took that picture. So that was really beautiful, and it was really beautiful to be able to include my whole family. So I wanted to ask Leo and Maria just a little bit, if you can share why is it important for you, your family, and your community to be part of this or to be depicted in this photo book. And we can start. We can go Maria and then Leo.
Well, I think, just representation. It's important to be seen. I have to see you outside. I have to see you enjoying with your family carne asada. because there aren't a lot of representations of us being outside doing these things, especially doing outdoor activities on top of that, kayaking. Next time you pick up an outdoor book or something like that, how many people of color are represented kayaking, fishing, hunting, and stuff? And these are things that we do naturally. Like, I know how to fish. My father taught me how to fish. Why don't I see someone who looks like me in some of these books? So representation is so important. And I think that's what breaks barriers down, not only for others who in our own communities, but others outside our communities to start that conversation, to start the exposure. I know my birding community is just like it's microcosm of everything else, right? And birding, because it's can be such an introverted activity. I meet a lot of birders who are not exposed to anybody else, and no one, especially outside of their own communities. So to see anyone outside of who they think birders are is like a big culture shock for them. And them having a culture shock is a culture shock for me too, right? But it's important to be present. It's important to be seen. And that's why it's such a triumph for the book, for Perteneciendo in the book, because to be seen is the first step sometimes, just for them to see you outside. They need to see us outside. Yeah.
Thank you. It was beautiful. I want to learn more about birds from you.
Okay. Deal.
For me, it was a mixture of a couple things. One, being an artist myself, and sometimes when you have like a really great project, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but sometimes it's really hard to get people in to like do the thing. So first of all, I'm like solidarity with my artist sister over here, whatever you need. But at the same time, it is about representation. And, I know that like people that look like me don't have a hard time finding representation in the grand scheme of Latinidad, right? But also as a single parent, right? And I have these two amazing, resilient kids that have been through so much because the system is set up the way that it is, so that their parent would be illegalized, and all of that comes with that. We end up in spaces sometimes of trauma that can only be healed through us going out to the outdoors and spending time together as a family. And so when the opportunity presented itself to introduce other people to my family, my whole family, this is my family, my two little kids and me, that felt right, to have more single moms out here, showing single parents out here, showing that's. And the other part is the fact that my babies are also part of the environmental movement brings me so much joy. So I wanted them to understand what we've been saying all along, that we belong here, and they might not speak Spanish, very well. Neither did our ancestors anyways. And just, that they belong. They belong here. So it was just such an amazing. And can I speak on Logan? Yeah. Okay, so check this out. So as I was telling y'all, I'm an artist, and I raised my kids to be, interested in the arts as well. Now Logan, he's the 10-year-old. He's baby artist. His dad is an artist. Myself is an artist. We raised them in an art gallery for most of his life. So he is very, very opinionated about things, to the point that he's bossy, right? So we went to the aquatic gardens, and Ben and Gabby were so generous with their time and expertise, because here you have a 10-year-old trying to art direct this shoot. Like, hey, you guys, we should go to this tree and you should take this picture while I'm down, you're down here and I'm up. He just had a vision. And a lot of times in a lot of other art spaces, I've come to realize that it's very ageist. It's a remnant of colonization to think that kids aren't their own autonomous beings that deserve to be heard and seen. And the fact that you and Ben not only didn't act like he was an inconvenience or an annoyance, but that you gave him the time as a little artist and you saw him and I'm going to stop right here because I'll cry, but it's just that intentionality to not just show the beauty of our family and nature, but also encouraging that baby artist to create and to co-create. He talks about it all the time. He talks about it consistently because it was such an experience. And I know that if he goes on to do environmental work or artwork or whatever he wants to be, right? He's going to think about you guys at some point and be like, those amazing artists, those well-funded photographers, we're like, okay, sure, baby, go do the thing. We'll take pictures. I can't appreciate that enough. I can't.
No, it's okay. Thank you for your beautiful words. And you started talking a little bit about like the importance of like building networks of solidarity. As being a single mom. For myself, like I find solidarity with my immigrant community, specifically the folks who are undocumented or have DACA. And Maria, you also talked a little bit about the importance of our community seeing themselves in birding spaces. So I wanted to ask you both if you can expand a little bit on those, like the importance of building those networks of solidarity for folks to be able to go outside or to explore places together.
Oh,
I like that.
Sounds great. So for me specifically, most of my organizing work, most of my movement work, even my life as an artist has been about kind of like being in survival mode, becoming an artist so that because I didn't qualify for DACA, so that I could do something that wasn't going to give me brain drain. You know what I mean? So that's part of my experience. And the other part, oh my goodness, I lost my train of thought. Goodness gracious. And the other part is making sure that as I grow, and like I said, being in like spaces of joy rather than spaces of constant trauma, doing immigrant justice work is constantly being traumatized, not just by the empathy that you feel for others' experience, but also, like the deeply personal struggle of not having documents and trying to move forward. And so for me, before really meeting Defensores and Black Millennials for Flint, shout out to them. They have welcomed me into their cohort as a led ambassador. So yeah, just being in this new space and going from, of course, we have trauma, we experience so many of the blowback of like ecological devastation and degradation and things like that. Our communities feel first and foremost. So there is trauma there, but there's also, the way that nature cradles you back and like recharges you to like continue doing the work. Like I said, before Defensores and Black Millennials, I never had that organizing experience. So in this space right now, I feel like I'm co-creating with all of the other environmental justice advocates wherever you are fitting in that space. And it feels really good. And it's so important to have spaces like this that makes us feel safe to forget for a second that I don't have papers and, let's talk about, XYZ that is like affecting our community right now. for me, that's food justice. But I know that there's other spaces like.
That's very important. Thank you for bringing up like just the healing power of nature. Is a big reason why I spend a lot of time outside. It goes beyond. Sometimes I go outside intending to bird with my binoculars and my notebook and my camera, and don't take a picture of any bird or write down anything because I'm just enjoying being present and being outside. And that invitation, not just to come, find a cardinal or come find a blue jay. That invitation to just be outside and soak up whatever it is that you need in a space that is not judgmental, does not have, the boxes for ethnicity, race, and all that stuff. Just to be outside in the healing power of nature, that invitation, I think, is universally appealing and does help build community. Insofar as I've seen, I am on the board now of DC Audubon and on a couple other birding organizations, and the interest in just being outside of just birding is growing and growing and growing. That's such a positive thing, right? And it does invite conversation about other aspects of challenges that I might have versus someone else. And I always tell people as an example, there was a rare bird about 2 years ago here in the Palisades area. I wasn't going to go there at night with binoculars and a camera. Right? Black people get shot for less. I'm gonna make sure there's other people there who are looking for the bird because it was in someone's yard on top of that. I'm not gonna walk through someone's yard in the Palisades looking for a bird this big. It's not gonna happen. So this is very real. And these opportunities to link up with someone who also wants to see the bird and to tell them why I'm 2 hours behind them and explain to them very specifically why, that creates some awareness and some consciousness, and also builds allyship, I think, for people who are like, oh, well, I didn't know. Why, it shouldn't be like that. This is important. And talking about it, and again, being present. And then that opens the door and it clears those barriers so that those things are less important or are less present. And we're just here enjoying the bird or enjoying being outside instead of having all these other factors we have to navigate just to get there.
Yeah. Thank you both so much for that. So recently I took a trip to Hawaii because, it's cold out here and we were like, let's try to escape the weather a little bit. Although I do appreciate the winter, it's a time for rest, for Pachamama. So I appreciate everything that happens during the winter and the snow, but it's a little too cold for me. And one of the things that you said, like when traveling, when experiencing nature, like there's a lot of calculation that you have to do based, if you're a person of color, and if you have like different identities or different things that impact that. So I'm DACA mented. I have DACA. And, like before my trip and any trip where I have to take an airplane, I have to make sure like, can I travel here? I go on Facebook and there is this like Facebook group of like TPS, DACA, undocumented folks who have been asking questions, and I post my question and a lot of people were like, yeah, Hawaii is a US state, like you can go, you don't need any permission from the government. And it translates to like also going out to nature. For undocumented folks, for example, like there is always this fear of like, don't go outside, stay at home. Home is safe. And I even see it with my own family, where they're like, yeah, maybe don't go, like maybe just stay here, we'll do something here. Even if it's just like going to the park. So it's so empowering and so beautiful, and it warms my heart to see people of color with different identities and experiences to enjoy nature. Because for so long they're like, make yourself little, be quiet, don't make any noise. And to be able and like breathe and, you know, make ourselves bigger and like walk, like, you know, it's just so beautiful, so empowering, and, you know, like it gives me, you know, like so much more motivation to go outside and to invite others to go outside. Also, shout out to everybody who is building spaces and networks of solidarity, like Latino outdoors, you know, for people to feel safe and included in these spaces. And Leo, you also talked a little bit to transition us a little bit. You talked a little bit about, you know, like your experience between your son and Gabby and Ben. And I had a wonderful experience with Gabby and Ben. I told them, like, I don't know about you, but my family loves to stay after dark in the park because we have a fire and we're very comfortable under the stars. And they were like, don't worry, like, we'll stay here. I was like, great, I have an elote, like, to keep you going. So I wanted to ask, you know, a little bit more about how was that experience to work with Gabby and Ben. Also, just to make a quick little plug, it's not only important for us to be photographed as people of color enjoying nature, but then also to have somebody like Gabby, a member of our community, to photograph us. And to understand those cultural nuances that, you know, like go with working with our communities. So I loved it. So yeah, if you can expand a little bit on how was it?
We went to, my photo shoot was at Lake Artemisia here in Greenbelt, Maryland, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous place. I invite you to please go visit Lake Artemisia. And I got there a little late. I was late. And Gabby and Ben were already set up and had already kind of staked out a place that was absolutely gorgeous by the lake. There's two big bodies of water there and a big clubhouse. They're building a stage area. It's gorgeous. And where they found the space, the sun set just like perfectly that day. And Gabby did keep saying, us too, it's getting dark, it's getting dark, here comes the sun, it's getting dark, it's getting dark. I said, okay, I'll stand over here, I'll stand over here, I'll stand over here. And it's a busy place, Lake Artemisia. It's a great, a lot of people there getting their wellness on, biking, walking. One lady had an issue when we got there, she had fallen off her bike, but that's a whole nother photo journal. And, you know, it's just a gorgeous place. And we even saw some birds, a few birds flew by. I just love that place so much that I hope that you know, that conveyed, it's my favorite place to be, honestly, to bird. And it was very easy, very natural. I didn't feel like I was working, like I was being photographed. So thank you for that, you and Ben. It was just a great experience, and I think brought out everything, not only my experience at the park, but also the park itself. So it's a really gorgeous place.
Yeah, likewise. I had a wonderful experience. So that the kids, you know, like I said, Logan was trying to boss everybody around, and they were really cool with it. But one thing that I really enjoyed was the fact that, first of all, they asked, like, what is your favorite spot? And it's always going to be the aquatic gardens. To be honest, before Defensores, I didn't even know that there was an aquatic gardens here in DC. And I'm working on writing a story about, like, the first time I went there. But it's just, I say all that to say it's a very dear place to me. So I had no doubts of where I wanted to go to do this, but I was expecting, you know, working with other, like, artists and stuff. Sometimes, you know, like a photographer friend be like, oh, hey, like, I need you to, like, put this on and model it for that hasn't happened since my 20s. But that was my experience in front of a camera. And that has always been my experience. And the way that Gabby and Ben were just so fluid with it. I understand now that you had gone to the spaces before a couple of times, and, you know, you kind of catch the light and everything. So I wasn't aware that there was, like, so much work that goes into it. Because when we were there, it was so it felt like so freeing, like it was flowing, and we were moving about the park, looking at things. So it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like, oh, I need to be serving this, that, and the other. I don't need to serve here. I just need to be myself. So that was really amazing. And the other part is my kids and I are, very left leaning, to say the least. And so we began talking about land back, and I've never met these folks, so I don't know. You just never know, right? And talking about the land back movement and free Palestine and things like that, being in that space together and being able to just, the kids and I like talking about it, and them not only, not being like, what the heck with these people, but, just being encouraging to talk about like indigeneity and those issues that we know affect not just our people and our movement, but the environment as a whole. That was really great and refreshing. And I held my breath for like 2 seconds when my kid said something that might sound controversial in certain spaces, but that it was met with grace and dialogue, and it was great. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Maria and Leo, for that. And, we like to do things very interactively. So I did have questions for the panel, but now I have questions for the audience. Yeah, that's right, audience. You guys also get questions. But this one is an easy one. And we just really want to know, for whoever is willing to share, we're talking about perteneciendo, belonging, and we wanted to ask you, what are those spaces for you? Where in nature, or even places that are not nature, where do you feel like you belong? Where do you feel like you are the most safe, that you are your most authentic self and your most liberated self? So for whoever wants to, oh, and I see a hand up already. Thank you so much. I was getting a little worried because everybody looked at me like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And thank you, Eliza, for running the microphone, getting a little cardio right there. Oh, and also share your name so that we know who you are.
Cool. Okay. My name is Jamal Wally Excuse me. My name is Jamal Wally Childs Jr. I am a Chesapeake Conservation for Climate Change Corps member, and I work for the CCP right now. I have 2 places. I won't take too much time, but I felt the need to get this off. My great grandmother had a garden, and my grandfather, her son, was a farmer. So there was a farm a little bit down the road. They live in what is Princess Anne, Maryland. The history of that area is very it's really dark. So I won't dabble into that too much. But as a kid, I spent a lot of time in her garden, like chasing hummingbirds, watching her take care of her flowers and stuff. And in the back, there was an apple tree. And what I love about that space the most is once it's nighttime, it's nighttime. And that's when you get to see the stars and everything. It was always scary being there, especially at nighttime. You don't really know what's going on, but that's what I love the most. And I'm a native of Baltimore, Maryland. So that meant a lot to me. And while I was in Baltimore, one of my favorite places, or I still live there, during the pandemic, the lockdown, I spent a lot of time at the Soulburn Arboretum. And being in Baltimore, there aren't too many green spaces, or at least a lot of people like me are not aware of where they are outside of Patterson Park, Druid Hill Park. So Soulburn Arboretum was really out of the way. It was very quiet. And a lot of days where I felt confined in home, I would just go there, sit under a tree, read books, and mind my business. But those are 2 spaces in nature that I love.
Thank you so much for sharing. See other hands. Somebody got voluntold.
Hi, my name is Brian. Just thinking about your question again. I think for me, it sounds kind of cliche, but it is the beach. When I was, still in school, at least in like middle school, high school, I remember my parents always, right after work, they would say, let's go take a quick swim let's go to the beach really quick for a few minutes. And I thankfully had the privilege of having the beach, like a 20-minute drive. So like we just like take a quick little detour. So every time we would just go there and we would watch the sunset and see the stars. And it was always very, very, very refreshing. And sometimes I had so much homework and I would tell them, why? Like just stay at home. I have to do so much homework. But, now looking back at it, I cherish those memories. And I think it's something to remember now that, looking back at it now. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Oh, I see another hand all the way over there to that corner. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Eliza.
Yeah, you're fine. Yes.
Gotta get my steps in.
Yes.
Alianch Manaya, Kumpay Kuna. Hello, brothers and sisters, as in Quechua. I'm very, feel very anxious just to talk in front of so many people, but your question really brought something out to me. I'm replanted person from Peru in these lands. And what brings me so much tranquility and serenity are the waters that are from the Pohek Park in Virginia. That is my sacred place where I normally go to just connect with the water and give my sorrows to the water and to regain strength. As an eco-psychologist, I hear and I work a lot with environmental people or people in the environmental movement. And to know that I have the river, Mama Cocha, right there, it gives me so much strength. And it's just a connection that I have. At times, I wanted to know what this connection means. My mind was always looking for an answer. And a couple of years ago, during COVID, I went there. I replanted myself in there. I asked permission to be here. And the water was so motherly, received me. And from that day on, like I say, every time that I feel I need the strength, I need to cry tears that nobody can see, I go there. And another place that it really, that I bring to my mind, to my mind and to my heart in moments of darkness is the mountains. Right? So I grew up in right outside the mountains in Lima, and I don't need to be there to feel that. I don't need to be there to connect with them. So, yeah, so those are my magical for many, but they're not magical. They're actually beings that are with me and support me every step of the way. So thank you for that question.
Thank you so much, everybody. Shout out to the mountains, the water, the beach, and the gardens for being there for us. So to close us out, I'm gonna hang the mic back to Gabby so that she can tell us how to get involved. And Maria, Leo, thank you guys so much for being on this panel.
A round of applause for everyone on this table. Thank you so much for being part of this project. Really, it wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Also, so we want to represent you guys. So please reach out to us. We're planning to do more photo shoots. We're gonna start April, May, and June. So there's still time for you to get involved. If you want to participate, please contact us. You can contact Ben at ben.israel@natureforward.com, and we're gonna begin shooting in March. So that's again. I don't see anyone writing down this email. I need people to write this email down. ben.israel@natureforward.org. please reach out. We want to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you to our fabulous, fabulous panelists. And another round of applause, please.